So, this morning we're going to be making a super easy, super delicious spinach quiche. Crustless spinach quiche at that. It's going to be an amazing time, and it's going to be super easy. First thing you're going to want to do is get your eggs. You're going to want to crack them. You want 14 eggs. You're going to want to crack them into a bowl. And after that, we'll mix them up real nice like. So, I said first thing we're going to crack these eggs in a bowl, which you can do, but I'm actually going to go ahead and cook my ground sausage first, so that's super easy. Really all you need to do is open the package, turn the heat on, about medium high, something like that, and just brown this sausage. It's super easy. And then with this recipe, you can literally put anything you want in there. If you have bacon, you can either put strips of bacon, cooked strips of bacon in there. You can put crumbled bacon in there. You can put ham in there. You can put sausage in there. Any type of breakfast food. You don't even have to have a meat in there. It really just depends on what you're feeling like. Depends on what you want to do. But it's super easy. And it is delicious with sausage in there. I was highly contemplating putting a nice piece of ham in there. But I think this morning we'll do sausage just to make it easy. And we'll go from there. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. Fry it up in here for a little while, and we'll take that off the stove and we'll keep on going. Okay, so like I said, pretty self-explanatory. You put your ground sausage in here, start chopping it up. As it cooks, you'll be able to chop it more and more finely, and just go ahead and keep that going. In the meantime, while we let that cook, we're going to start cracking eggs here. And we're going to want 14 eggs, but a lot of times I'll just start with 1 dozen, and we'll go from there. Do you think I can crack this with one hand? Not really. That's pretty hard. We'll try though. So obviously you get the general idea. Crack the egg into a bowl, and we'll go from here. I'm going to put 14 of these in this bowl, and then I'm going to restart this. And I'm going to give this a nice stir and keep on chopping, and we'll come back. Okay, so as you can see, we got our eggs in here now. We got our eggs in the bowl. We got our sausage cooking. Now, just in case you aren't familiar with cooking ground sausage, this is pretty much all you want to do. As it cooks, you just kind of chop down on it, and it's going to start splitting up, and you're going to get a nice, fine ground sausage, which is exactly what we're looking for here. It's alright if there's some little chunks in, it's really not that big of a deal, but I would say it's fairly helpful to have it nice, finely ground. But, really it's personal preference. Whatever you would like to do, you just go ahead and do that, and it's going to be delicious anyway. So, go ahead and cook your sausage, ham, bacon, whatever you want. Have that ready to go. And next up, we're going to chop our onions and garlic, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so I went ahead and turned this down to about 4 on my stove, and this is pretty much all you're looking for. Just finely chop. You just keep on chopping until you get something like that if you're making ground sausage. Also, probably turkey sausage would be delicious in here. Be a little healthier, but hey, you know what, Sunday breakfast, so we're not even going to worry about that right now. But that would be delicious, and if you're using sausage, this is roughly what you're looking for. Don't forget, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 400. You'll be mad when everything's ready and your oven's not preheated, so get that rolling too. Don't forget. Okay, so we got our onions chopping up here. This is about the size pieces I'm going to use. Obviously they break apart. You do whatever you want. If you want a bigger onion, that's all up to you. Just depends on how big you like your pieces of onion, and even if you like onion. If you don't like onion, You don't gotta put the onion in. But if you do, like I do, go ahead and chop them up. I like something like that. I think it's pretty good, but you give it a try and you let me know. Okay, we got our onions all chopped up. I went ahead and used 2 small onions. That's going to be a good bit of onions, but like I said, I like onions. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our garlic. We're going to chop that up. I'm going to use 2 cloves. Again, personal preference. If you like a lot of garlic, go ahead and use 2 cloves. I think that's a fair amount for this dish, so we're just going to use 2. One's pretty small, so make your own judgment call. But okay, so we got our garlic nicely finely chopped here. We're going to add that, maybe. We're going to add that to our onions. So, got that in there. Then we're going to move on to these eggs. So, let's grab that. We're going to add the onions, the garlic, and the eggs all together. We're going to keep the spinach and the cheese separate. So, easy. We're just going to dump them in there. Pretty self-explanatory on that. We're going to get a fork. We're going to whisk it together. I'm sure you've whisked eggs before, but just kind of a motion like that. Don't let anything get away. Now, if you didn't break your onions up like I didn't, you're going to want to make sure that as you do this, you lose those big chunks of onion. I just think it's easier to kind of do it this way and beat them up a little bit. But it's up to you. If you're a perfectionist, maybe you want to go ahead and chop yours more finely than I did. So at this point, we're going to add just a little bit of milk. I know it's a lot of eggs, but we're going to just add about that much. Just a teeniest little splash here. Go ahead and keep on whisking that up. So the longer and more that you whisk this for, you're going to get a more fluffy product. So this thing is definitely going to rise. And now it will fall back down again once it comes out of the oven, but when it comes up, I'll show you. We got a fairly large pan. I think this is a 9 by 2 here. So we got a 9-inch baking pan. That's about what you're looking for. You can use one with smaller sides, but it will rise up pretty well over the sides if you have the typical 1-inch side pan. So, but you'll be okay. It's not going anywhere if it does rise. It'll just fall back into the pan eventually, so you'll be fine. So I think we got that whisk up pretty well. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to pause the video. Okay, so I've gone ahead and emptied out the pan that I used to cook my sausage. Emptied that out. Now the next thing we're going to do, and you don't have to do this, but I prefer to do this, is we are going to take our fresh spinach, already washed and everything, and we're just going to cook that down. Now, normally when I make this recipe, now as you see, I got a few mushrooms mixed in here because last recipe I made had a few extra onions. Didn't feel like putting them away separately, or excuse me, extra mushrooms. Didn't feel like putting them away separately. So I threw them in with the spinach, and they're going to go in this dish because really you can put anything you want in here. Peppers would be delicious. All type of vegetables and meats would be delicious in a crustless quiche. So we got a couple mushrooms in ours, but what we're going to do is we're just going to cook this down. Now again, typically when I do this, I actually just make it super easy. I use a frozen pack of spinach, and that turns out delicious. You just want to make sure you microwave it first. And we'll get this to about medium high. We'll cook this down a little bit, and you'll see this is going to get much, much smaller than it is now. So it'll fit in there perfect. And we'll start to get this guy layered here in just a minute. Okay, so next thing is definitely important as well. You want to make sure that this pan is super greasy. So I got olive oil right here. Just make sure you get all your corners. You don't have to use olive oil, obviously. You can use any kind of cooking oil. You can use Crisco. You can melt a little bit of butter and put it around the sides. Just make sure that you get all your corners and everything's all nice and greased up so that this doesn't stick in the pan. Because if you don't, you are going to have some sticky problems for sure. So we got this cooking up nicely. You may want to cut your spinach, or don't cut them, rip them. You may want to rip your spinach up. I really don't mind a whole piece of spinach, especially when it's cooked down. They get pretty small, so It really doesn't bother me, but if it bothers you, go ahead and cut yours and make them a little smaller. But you'll see how small they get here at the end. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our egg mixture. As you see, I'm just kind of breaking up these mushrooms in the pan while I talk. But we're going to take our egg mixture here, and we're going to pour half of it into our pan here. And that's about good because we're going to cook this in the oven. So we're going to take this off the heat. And then we're going to take our egg mixture. We're going to pour about half of it in, and then we're going to add a nice layer of cheese and a layer of spinach. So, a little more than half, but that's okay. So now, okay, so we got about half of our egg mixture here in the pan. Now this is how you got to do the cheese. You can use shredded cheese, but I much prefer this method. I think it kind of layers it, and it turns out really delicious. So we're going to take our cheese. We're going to just cover as much of this egg and kind of have it floating on the top here. We're going to take as much of that as we can. And we're going to float this cheese here. So we got 3 pieces down there. I'm going to take a 4th. I'm going to kind of make this into some shapes here. Try and cover as much as we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. As you'll come to find, really nothing has to be that perfect. Just get close to what you're trying to do, and you'll be fine. It'll be delicious. So we got that there. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our sausage here. We're going to start putting that in here. And it's going to be delicious. But this will kind of keep your sausage in the middle. Now when you cook this, this first layer of cheese does kind of fall down to the bottom. It makes a really nice little bottom. The texture just is really good on this. So I think it's because that cheese does kind of fall to the bottom with the weight of all your ingredients on top of it. Now obviously, because we love cheese, we're going to put another layer of cheese here in a little bit once we get our ingredients in here. But as you can see, just kind of spreading out whatever it is you have. I have sausage here, so you just spread this out over top that layer. And we obviously have a good bit of this, so I'm probably not going to use it all. But you know, you're going to want a nice good layer of whatever it is that you're using. So I think that should be about good. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our spinach here, and I guess I'll use this. No, I'll just use this. We're going to layer that out pretty simply, like. Get our mushrooms in there. You're going to want to make sure this spreads out. Now as you can see, it looked like we had a ton of spinach before. But now really, we're going to have just enough, just as much as we want. Now feel free to use more, but that was almost a whole bag of spinach. But you know, feel free to use more. I find the frozen things of spinach is about the perfect amount of spinach, but hey, like, you know, I like spinach, so this might be the perfect amount for you. I don't know. But so we got our mushrooms in here. We got our spinaches in here. So that's that layer there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pause this. We're going to come back to it. And we're going to get our next layer of egg on there. And we'll go from there. Okay, so we're back. We got our spinach spread out pretty well. We got our sausage in there spread out pretty well. We're going to take the other half of this egg, onion, and garlic mixture, and we're just going to spread that evenly over the top here. We're going to try and cover all of the ingredients up. So make sure you have a nice top layer. If not, sometimes, you know, sometimes you miscalculate. Just if you have extra eggs, crack an extra 2 eggs, whisk them up. You don't even need to worry about putting the milk in or anything like that. Just whisk up 2 more eggs. Make sure everything's covered so it looks nice. And so it tastes delicious. So we'll just pat that down a little bit so we got everything all nice and eggy in there. And the next thing we're going to do is the same thing with that layer of cheese. It's going to be hard to do with one hand here, but I'm going to try it. pretty much what you want to do. Now again, you can take any kind of cheese that you want. I'm using Havarti because it's my favorite, but you can use cheddar cheese, you can use any type of cheese. Normally I'll do a Havarti and Munster. I don't have any Munster. I'm guaranteeing it's going to be delicious with just Havarti. It doesn't really matter either way. Cheese is cheese is cheese. It's all delicious, especially in an early breakfast quiche. So just whatever cheese you got in the fridge, put it in there. Doesn't matter if it's slices of American cheese, but I would say step up your cheese game if that's what you're doing. But hey, you know what? Everybody starts somewhere. So this is what you're going to want to do. You don't really have to. You can just lay slices of cheese. I think it looks cool at the end. I think it turns out well. And also, I have just a couple slices of a nice cheddar. And I'm going to layer that on top of here as well. I'm going to cross these sections. So I've used 2 pieces of Havarti, as you can see. I've put 2 pieces of Havarti here. Just trying to find a little extra room for the ends of this guy. And so something like that. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to grab my last slice of cheddar here, and I'm going to put that on top, and then we're going to get this in the oven. Okay, so I went ahead and layered my cheddar across there. That's 2 pieces of cheddar. Worked out perfectly. That's exactly what I had left. So now all we're going to do to top this off, we're going to put a little bit of oregano. We're going to crack some fresh black pepper. We're going to put a little bit of salt. Obviously, don't salt it too much. Don't put too much pepper on it. Let people do that themselves. But just go ahead and crack a little bit on the top, which I'm going to go ahead and do. I'll get a video of it going into the oven. We're going to cook this at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes, and it takes all of 45 minutes. So just, get up early enough so that everything's ready by the time people wake up, because 45 minutes is a pretty long time. So get that going. I'll get a video of it going in the oven. We'll get a video of it coming out of the oven, and that's pretty much all you got to do. Pretty easy, delicious, and definitely suggest you try it. Okay, so pretty much that's it. Got our salt, pepper, oregano, a little bit of parsley on top of there. I'd say it looks pretty good. We're going to get in the oven, and that's about all you got to do. As you can see, that cheese melts nicely. Kind of makes a whole layer of cheese over there. Obviously, we're going to keep cooking it. We got about 20 minutes or so to go. But actually more like 25 minutes to go, but just wanted to show you that and the progress we're making. Okay, so like I said, it's going to rise a good bit. So you see it's pretty much to the top of this pan now. Now once you take it out of the oven, in about 2 minutes or so, it does fall back down, but we're definitely getting there. Eventually we'll put it on broil, we'll brown the top just a little bit, but it's definitely getting there. Alright, so it's been in there for 44 minutes. I think the top is perfect. That's exactly what we're going for. So we're going to go ahead and pull it out, let it sit there for a minute or two, and we're going to go ahead and cut this up and eat breakfast. Get our coffee ready and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we're finished here. We got a nice brown, crispy-ish top on it. That cheese browned up real nice. So next we'll go ahead and cut into it. I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll eat my breakfast. So as you see, it fell down in the pan a little bit. Like I said, after you wait, 2 or 3 minutes, it does kind of shrink down. So yeah, kind of chills out. We'll cut it up. We'll be done. Okay, so this is what the final product looks like. As you can see, it's kind of layered in there. So it turned out pretty well. Crust turned out great. Bottom turned out great. We're going to go ahead and eat this, but this is about what you're going for. And I can pretty much guarantee you'll like it. Unless you don't like eggs and spinach, in which case you probably won't. But either way, give it a shot.